you give us any update on Armand? Do you know anything yet?
It looked painful, didn't it?
It sure did.
Full body cramping.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it started in his left lat. I don't know if you noticed, saw him in the dugout in between innings. He was raising up his left arm and stretching it a lot. And I obviously tried to go out there, and then both legs cramped at the same time, and he was in a bit of pain. So hopefully he'll hydrate the heck out of him. He should be good to go. Yeah. Good news.
Yeah, it was scary.
It didn't look pretty good. What else we got?
Well, your trade today, can you just tell us what you saw in this 27-year-old pitcher?
Well, we actually we finished 2 trades today.
Oh, okay.
The first one with the Yankees for right-handed pitcher Joe Harvey. Two, in our estimation, 2+ pitches, and a younger guy on the roster who needs an opportunity to pitch. And we had good numbers on him from an analytical perspective. We had good reports on him. So that our scouting and our stats looks matched in a lot of ways, and it's adding another power arm, with some potential. So we'll see what happens once we get him in, and we've talked to him, and send him into Albuquerque, and have him kind of, like normal, get acquainted with the organization and start to meet people, and then see what he's got.
What are those pitches?
Fastball, slider. Both are hard. Slider still developing. Some ways on the consistency of it, but Pittsburgh. He's University of Pittsburgh, Philadelphia kid. I guess he's a straight shooter, straight talker. If you talk to him, he's all business, and so we're excited to bring on a kid like that.
He was on the Yankees 40 man. Is there going to be a corresponding move for you guys?
Yes, we designated Harrison Musgrave for assignment. Okay. So that clears a spot. That clears a spot for him.
Do you
said
have to
two
come close to
trade?
anything sizable, and can you talk about it?
I will. Did you want any other question on Harvey? No. There was a lot of activity, and there was a lot of interest in a good number of our players. Most of the interest, as you can see, in players that we really did not want to trade. We could have, not easily, but we could have traded a large portion of our team if we wanted to. But such is the typical deadline, right? You have a lot of conversations over the course of a number of days, and in this case where in large part due to the last month of play, we were not at the end of this looking to add to our team or strictly buy. We just never got to a point where talking to the teams where it made sense to trade any of the guys that were really targets for other teams. And we look at those guys as continued parts of our future, and so nothing big formulated that way. But Monday was a pretty heavy day of conversation overall, and yesterday a little bit softer, and then today a decent amount. That kind of thing. The second trade that we finalized today was a smaller one with the Chicago Cubs. Traded some international cap money for a minor league outfielder named Jimmy Herron, third round draft pick out of Duke. Jimmy Herron, Herron, Jimmy, second or third round pick out of Duke last year. We liked him out of the draft last year, and so he's a good young prospect. He'll probably go into high A for us once he comes over from the Cubs.
Jeff, was there consideration to making a move for salary purposes for next year? Because you have a number of players who are going to be making quite a bit more money next year, and that's the business you're in.
Yes.
Was that part of your thinking?
So there were conversations that way, and that was we told teams that we were open-minded to a lot of things. If there were certain players that were of interest to other teams, but it's not like we had strict orders or anything like that where we had to do things financially. A lot of times we were trying to start conversation and get ideas flowing. So yes, the answer is yes, and obviously nothing came of that.
Jeff, with
new rules, are there
then it's just going to be a matter of any movement within the organization for the rest of the season?
Yeah, right. We're playing under new rules. Everybody is, and so the only guys that can get traded now are non-roster guys that have not been previously on a major league roster this year. Right? So it definitely is more restrictive. I think everybody knew that going in when we kind of vetted out these new rules over the course of a couple of years. We knew that if injuries, if a major injury could occur tomorrow, that's going to be tough to cover for. And that's just part of it. We're going to see how this goes across the game now over the next couple of months. So the answer would be yes. I would imagine that the waiver wire will be a popular mode of potential acquisition, and then if there are any players on minor league rosters that make sense.
Is the waiver wire irrevocable waivers only? There's not revocable waivers.
Not anymore.
So if you put the guy on,
correct. Just outright and release waivers now. There aren't any trade waivers. So those are both irrevocable.
Big picture, Jeff, are you still in a period of, as you've talked about, responsible growth of your payroll? I know there's a lot of time before the end of the season, but you feel like the Rockies are still in that period?
Yeah, I do. We this year's payroll's higher than last year, which was higher than the year before, and planning on the same thing for next year. And that's, I think you can see that, and it's like I've said before, it's not crazy, outlandish, for us type of leaps in payroll year to year, but it is some, I would say, appreciable growth, and I think we're going to finish with a payroll in and around 150 plus this year, which will be our highest ever payroll, and next year we expect that to go up.
Yeah, Jeff,
responsibly.
Did you feel that Garcia maybe regressed a little bit? He started in Nashville, he's wrong, he's left-handed, and maybe been sent back down?
Yeah, it had he's a young kid, right? So, regression.
Maybe he pushed a little bit to get to Nashville.
Yeah, and sometimes it happens, right? Sometimes you challenge a player. Regression in a kid that age, in that stage of his career,
Harsh term.
It's probably a little harsh. It's really more if he's still very much a developing. He's talented, but he's very, very much still a baby and developing. So that's what the Yankees were looking for.
He pitched a little bit better lately than
He's awesome. Yep.
Bob Black likes to say every day is a test.
Yep.
What have you learned about this team through so far this season?
Gee, how long you got?
At least an hour.
Well, I would say a couple of things. One, this season to this point has been very much a roller coaster, right? And for some different reasons. I would say April would be defined in large part due to mass injury, a lot at the same time early in April that set us back. And combine that with some we weren't hitting and we weren't scoring. So you combine those, and that's a tribute. We were pitching pretty well at that point in the season early on. And then we part of this group, I think a hallmark of this group, which was a hallmark of last year's group and the one before, is that they picked themselves up, right? And they figured out a way to play very good baseball, some of the best baseball in the National League for almost 2 months. And we got to a point at the end of June where we were 6 over and leading the wild card and looking like, the team that I think started to play together better, looked like the team that we thought that we should be competing for the playoffs. And this past, since then, obviously this past month has been very challenging, and it's been tough baseball to watch. And the guys know that, they feel that. Buddy, you mentioned Buddy. Coaches, they all get it. But we have to own this. It's frustrating because it's the same group of guys for the most part. We have our health. Right? Injuries right now are not a part of this, and they really haven't been this month. And so we have to own this, and we have to learn from it and grow from it. I don't think anybody saw this coming. I certainly didn't, not to this degree. But there's still a lot of games to play. There's a lot of time left in the season to see this group get better and grow together, continued, which is important, because a lot of these guys will be back next year, conceivably. and also some individuals to continue their development and growth at the major league level as well.
Hey, Jeff, you told Thomas, I think it was probably 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, and you talked about what your view was as the trade deadline approached. You said it was going to look a little different than the last 2 years. Can you share with us, when did you kind of make the determination, you know, we're not going to go out and try to get a big piece to get us to the next level? When did that determination set in?
Well, it was ongoing. It was day to day. It was honestly day to day for a long period of time in July. And we took it all the way up well into July, hoping that we were going to start playing better baseball. Right? I mean, you can say, well, we needed to win and we needed to win series, but when you look at us play, we needed to play better baseball all the way around, consistently. And we just haven't done that this month. And yeah, the timing is tough in some ways because our expectations were to be in a playoff contender and to add at this deadline like we had done in the last 2 years. The timing of it, you know, it showed us, you know, clearly, unfortunately, what our path was going to be trade-wise this year, and that's disappointing. But at least it became clear over time that you know that some of the things that are affecting this group, it was going to be really difficult. As I mentioned to Thomas, it's going to be very difficult to solve all the problems through this one trade deadline. I mean, that's not, you know, wasn't going to be within our means. So, you know, sometimes you got to make difficult decisions like that, even though it's not what you want to do.
Does this team need to be remade or just tweaked? Where are you right now with whether it's the rest of the season? Obviously, you can't do anything about the deadline, but even going into next.
No, I don't think that it's much different than. I mean, I still very much believe in this group. Do we have things to improve on? Yeah, you betcha. And this last month of games has shown us that. You know, we'll see what the winter brings. You know, but there is a strong core. I think it's a core that hopefully is learning some things about itself and about each other. But it's still a strong and talented core. We just need to learn how to be a better group and a better team more consistently.
With addition not being such a possibility, according to you, how much of an impediment was the financials as far as maybe freeing up some space on the roster?
What do you
Just if you're going to free up some room on the roster and offload some players, how much were the financials of the contracts a challenge at this particular trade deadline?
Oh, I mean, anytime there's a contract involved, that's always part of the negotiating process. There wasn't anything more, more or less challenging this year than in years past. It just kind of depends on who you're talking about. When you're talking to teams about trades, whether it's players you're trading away or players you're taking